Welcome to our tutorial about the project window. This is your main working area in Cubase. In this tutorial, we'll be learning what the areas in the project window do and how to use some of the tools. If I cover the tool in more detail in another video chapter, I'm only going to mention it briefly here. This blue bar on top is the title bar. It shows the current project's title. Under that is the toolbar. Right-click anywhere on any tool to choose which tools to display and hide. If an item in this list is checked, then it's visible. You can opt for Cubase's presets, Show All, Default, Alternative, Transport, Snap, and Quantize. Here's Cubase's default. Or you can do a custom setup by choosing Setup. Simply select the items you'd like to hide or display. You move items from the visible items to the hidden items column using these arrows. You can reorganize the order of the tools using the Move Down and Move Up buttons. Clicking Move Up will move a tool closer to the left. Move Down will move closer to the right. You can also set up a preset and save it. Just type in your preset name here. For example, select the tools you use most commonly for recording and then save them as a preset called Recording. Click OK, and now our preset will be available for selection when we right-click on the toolbar. Let's choose Show All, since I'm going to be looking at all of the tools on the toolbar. Under the toolbars, we have the Event Info line in black. This line gives us information about any selected event. For this audio track, I see the file name description and the start and end points, etc. I can change the file name right here. I can even enter a description. See how the description displays right on the track image? If I rename the file, it'll rewrite the name right on my hard drive. This is the overview bar. It extends the length of your project window. It shows a mini version of your project. This blue box here highlights the part of my project that's showing in my event display area. The overview bar lets you zoom in and out quickly and keep track of your project as a whole without affecting your current zoom level. This panel here is called the Inspector. You activate it by clicking the Show Inspector button on the View Switches panel. It contains a lot of settings for each track, the inputs, the outputs, effects, a variety of other controls, inserts, equalizers, sends, the channel, and the notepad, as well as quick controls. On top of the track list is the track list header bar. It controls track states globally. We can choose default settings, a recording setting, an editing setting, a mixing setting, etc. This will help you free up space in your track list display. This key toggles the in-place editor on and off for selected tracks. Press this M button to unmute any tracks that are muted. Press the S button to deactivate any tracks that are soloed. You can click this R button to set all automation to read status. Clicking the W button will set all automation to write status. This button here lets us show and hide the color strip selector. And here we can divide the track list. Underneath is our track list. We can easily move tracks around. Just left-click on a track to select it and then drag it to its destination. You can move more than one track at a time with a Shift select or a Control select if your tracks aren't sequential. The order will be adjusted in the mixer window as well. Here's the project ruler, which shows the main timeline for your work as well as the left and right locators. You can't hide the project ruler, but you can change the format of the time display by right-clicking and selecting another display. Bars and beats, for example. Seconds. This big white window is called the Event Display Area. It's your main work area in Cubase. There are vertical and horizontal scrolling tools to help you get around this window quickly. These little sliders you see here are the horizontal and vertical zoom bars. At the bottom of the window under the track list is the Project Properties and Status line. This shows the audio properties of the project as well as the disk space remaining for the current project location. In my case, I'm recording at a sample rate of 44.1 kilohertz in 16-bit, and I can keep recording for another approximately 17 hours on my current disk drive. Now let's go over the tools in the tool button area so that you know what some of these buttons do. Many of these tools I cover elsewhere in this course. Some of these tools are also in the floating transport panel, so you'll be familiar with them already. This button here is the Activate Project button. You can have more than one project open, but only one at a time can be active. Click the Activate Project button to activate your project. All the editing windows automatically adjust to display the content according to the settings of the active project. It's blue when the button is lit. Next to it is the Constrain Delay Compensation button. It's orange when it's lit. Enable this button if you hear any delay when you're recording live audio or playing VST instruments. It'll help compensate for latency on your computer. Next, we have two performance meters showing the ASIO time usage and the disk cache usage. If any of these get to the top and show red, you've got some hardware issues to sort out. You'll need to reduce the load on your system. Next is the View Switches panel. These quickly show and hide parts of the project window. The inspector, the information bar, the overview panel, the pool, and finally the mixer. Next is the Automation Mode drop-down menu. Cubase gives you 5 different automation modes. We'll be covering these later in this course. On the right, the automation return time field is how long it takes for the automated parameter to return to its original automated value after you release your mouse when you're overwriting existing automation. This will make more sense once you review the tutorial on automation. Here we've got the left and right locator buttons. You click these to go to each locator. You can also enter the values manually here. Just type in a new number or use your scroll wheel to adjust the numbers up and down. We can select the project root key from this drop-down menu. This is more useful if you're working with MIDI. Here we have the standard transport controls. Return to 0 or previous marker, next marker or project in, activate cycle mode, stop, play, and record. Let me hide some of these tools so I can bring in some of the other tools. I'm going to uncheck the ones that I've talked about already. Here we've got the arranger controls, which help you manage your arranger tracks. These used to be called play order tracks. This is Cubase's tool for helping you experiment with different arrangements of your work. These numbers are the primary and secondary time display. You can exchange their two values by clicking this button. Currently, I've got both set to bars and beats. I'd have to go to the transport panel to make any changes to those. I can also do it from the project ruler, actually, for the primary display. Next door, we've got the marker buttons. Once you've set them up, simply click on the number you've assigned to a marker to move the cursor to that point in time. Next are the edit tools. First, we have the object selector, the range selector, the split tool, the glue tool, erase. Let's undo that one. Zoom. Alt or Option click to zoom back out after you've zoomed in. Mute. Time warp. This is how you change the speed of audio recording, a little anyway. We'll be learning more about that later in this course. The draw tool, we use this to create an empty part on a track or to create automation points. Here's the line tool. Left click on the arrow in the bottom corner to open up the drop-down selection of line tools. These are used most often for editing MIDI or adding automation shapes. Here's the play tool, lets us audition an event. Simply click it over the event that you want to hear or drag it and let your mouse go when you're done. It's a quick way to solo an event. Last tool is the color selector. Select an event, Then select a color, and now click on the event and the event will change color. This is how you can change your event color without changing the track color. Let's hide some of these tools so we can take a look at the rest of the tools. Here are the trim tools. These are used to trim the starts and ends of your events or to move them. This is the auto scroll button. When this button is active, the screen follows the position of your cursor as it moves forward in time. It's a very useful option. Your screen basically scrolls along with your track. Let me show you how this works. Let me just choose a cursor position that's near the right edge of my screen. Let's activate auto scroll and play. See how my screen shifted position to follow the playback cursor? Now if I deactivate auto scroll, my playback doesn't follow the cursor. Let's try that out. Choose a cursor position at the end. As you can see, my playback cursor is off the right edge of the screen. Next we have the snap on and off button and the snap selection grids. These tools help you edit your events by aligning your movements to a grid that you customize. These three fields are related to the snap tool, snap type, grid type, and quantize value. Here's the snap to zero crossing button. Activating this means that splitting and sizing of audio happens at places where the amplitude is zero. This will help you avoid creating pops and clicks when you're editing audio. The last tool in the toolbar is the color selector, which we covered previously. In addition to what we talked about here, be alert for any context menus. You'll find that right-clicking or control-clicking for Mac users in different regions of the project window will reveal a menu with options that are specifically related to the area in which you click. Often these options are available from the main menus as well, but they're easier to find this way. That's a right-click or a command-click on your Mac. And this concludes our tutorial about the project window.